Well, we have something new from a new supplier, and it is called Whispering Spring, and it has several components. So the first one are these 8x8 double-sided papers, then 8x8 solid papers, so that all works. And then the aha are these die cuts, and you get butterflies, round and square, you get birds, square and round, and you also get teacups in round and square or square and round, all of those at a fabulous price. And this is one of the projects that I did with them. So you can see the circle and you can see the square. Please come play with us. Well, I gave you a bit of information in that opening, so I just want to say that these are all die cut. You do get one sheet. Check out the price. It's great. And as I said, you get circles and squares of each of them. It's the same art, just done in a different shape. So there we go. Now, for the papers, I do want to tell you that you have to tear them out. So they are not perforated, they're not individual. So let me just demonstrate that. So this is one, actually, this is one that I use. And you'll just tear it, and you can see that they have given you a white strip. So this is going to get torn, so you can just trim that off with your paper trimmer. So they are double-sided, so that works nicely. And the same thing is true of the solids. So with all of that information, let's get started on these. And here is our first card. Now this is, there we go. Placed always on our 5x6.5 inch cards, so that works nicely. And I did actually end up in these cards using two of the birds, the circle birds. Let me show you the whole sheet right there. And I was delighted that I discovered something early in the game, and that is that these will fit perfectly onto our circle and scalloped cutting dies. How neat is that? So let me show you what I did. So I began with this sheet. Now you can see it all. It looks very, very heavenly. There's some flowers, some script. Excuse me. And I did simply cover the front of my card with this sheet. On the back side, it looks like that. So it does have this bird, which I am also going to use. Now, because this bird matches this die cut, I wanted to use that. Like I said, I decided I wanted to put that on the inside of the card. So, and you get multiple copies of each of the patterns, so that works out nicely. I think you get two of each one. So I covered the front of my card like this, and if you've watched our 101 card making, you know it's super easy. Now, whatever adhesive you like, I happen to be a glue stick gal, and I do my glue stick all the way around all the edges, and I put a big X in it. And then I place the paper along two edges, so this edge and that, press it down, turn it over, and trim it to fit with my scissors or my paper trimmer. It works perfectly, you don't have to measure, and that is just really great. So then I took the dark blue out of their solid, and this one, I really wanted to use this guy, but because this matches the art and I knew I wanted to have the bird on the inside, I elected to go with this one. And as I said, I was very pleased and felt so smug that I found out that it will fit onto these cutting dies. So did the dark blue and simply glued it in that corner so you can see kind of offset. Now I went into our white dazzles because although it's kind of creamy, I felt that the white would work well with it. So, and you can see, hopefully you can see right here. I've not done this before. Can we get in closer, Jeanette? Really close. Okay. So I used 3 strips together, and I've not done that before. I kind of think of these as individual items, but I simply pulled them off together. They all are together on the strip. In fact, you can see it, I think, right here. So I just lifted them together and placed that down, about a generous 1/4 of an inch from the fold. and then did a separate piece right here. So, you know, you always like to do something a little different. Then the happy birthday comes from the More Greetings Dazzles. Now this has white, gold, silver, and brown. And so you can see the white is going to correlate with the border dazzles. So that worked nicely. Then I wanted to pull a bit of the pink. And so I went into the flowers. These are the Precious Pink Elira. So you can see it's the lighter of the two colors. And you do need to glue these down. So just a bit of, I use the glue stick. You can use whatever glue you want. The bow comes from the light pink set of bow, because again, that's going to go with the colors in the art. And I thought that just worked very nicely. It's a simple card, but there's, you know, a couple of new things going on. Now, for the inside, okay, as you can see, that's the bird. And I think that you can tell that, okay, we've got that bird, and he's really, you know, pretty prominent. And then it's the same one on the inside, ghosted back. So matted that on the same blue. This time I used the white border dazzles and did the straight edge against the straight edge of this piece. And then I did another one, because when I put the Thinking of You on this art, you really couldn't see it. And I really like having the messages show up. So I put it down, and then I trimmed the paper right around it. I used 3 flowers here, kind of a little arch. I'd elected to go sideways with them on the inside. So just makes it cohesive and work well, I thought. Okay, now I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to throw those over there so you didn't see them, and go to a very different card. And I've not done a card like this before, quite honestly. It's really very simple in color and design, but there is kind of a little trick to it. So I've got this one, so I'm into the teacups now, and then the circle one, and then, come on, open up, and then the teacup paper. Now you saw that earlier when I showed you that you have to tear them out of the book. So we've got this and this. So the trick of it is to make sure that you have this one tucked underneath this one. So let me show you how you make that card. And we're going to use 2 cards. So the first one is, let me show you what we're going to do. Pardon me while I get this together. Okay, the first card, again, 5 by 6.5. We're going to measure down 1.5 inches and cut it. That's going to give us a 5 by 5 card. Okay, so you can do that, or you can buy the ones that we have that are already 5 by 5. But this is what I did. I just trimmed that down. I trimmed both layers. Okay, then I took another card, opened it flat. Now here's the score line. So I cut it 1/2 inch beyond the score line. Okay. And then I measured down the 1.5 inches and did a dot here and a dot here, and then trimmed it. So you end up with a piece that looks like this. You can see there's that 1/2 inch, and there's this. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put some extra sticky tape right on that flap. Now that flap is going to go behind the card. You can, I don't know if you can see it right there. You really always want to have at least 1/2 inch when you're doing something like this. If you try to do 1/4 inch, it's just not stable enough. So 1/2 inch is going to do a good job for you. So you simply are going to attach that behind the card itself. And the only trick to that I found is that you want to make sure you don't go over that score line, because if you do, it's not going to fold flat. So just take it up to the score line and let that go over the top front of your card. Okay, so then you get that really nice shape that's going on. Okay, now I wanted to do teacups. So as I said, we've got squares and circles, so why not use them both, I said to me. And this time, I did not use the cutting dies. I simply matted them. But I did go with the Rich Miri. Now that is a super shiny gold. And you can see that I just did a very narrow mat. So that's about a 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. So simply put that down, matted it, and positioned it. So again, before I positioned this, I kind of aligned the two of them. So I glued this down. Now this is not in the center. That's okay. If that bothers you, do a different card. I don't know. But in order to happen like this, it does have to be offset a little bit. So that should work. Now, it was a little plain, of course, so I want to add something. So I did go into a couple of different things. And this is, where are my dazzles? Oh, I know. It's the same. No, it isn't. It's the, oh my word. Okay. I've got the greeting dazzles. So the script greetings, so thinking of you, right down there. And around the edge, and I did that the last, I just felt like it needed more of a pop, but I didn't want to detract from the white because I thought that worked really well. So I got our dazzles. These are the wide straight line glitter. Now, there are two sheets. This one is the silver, and obviously I used the gold sheet and just went along each of the edges of all 4 sides, or 3 sides in this case. And that way, I duplicated the gold without it being quite in your face. And this dazzle is clear. So it's going to give you the glitter look and the gold look, but it's going to also show the paper behind it. So you can really see the white. In fact, you can really see the glitter right there. Thank you, Jeanette, for getting so close. So that worked nicely. I also thought it would be fun to add something else. So I added the gold pearl butterfly dazzles, and these are new in the gold. And you can see I've got one there, I've got a smaller one there, and then they've got the ones that are half, and so it's kind of sitting on the plate. So that worked. Here we go. So I've got thinking of you, missing you. Same idea, same matting, same border size, 3 more of the butterflies and missing you. And then on the inside, I wanted to use the paper. Of course, I'm going to use the paper. And just trimmed that and around the cup, matted it on the gold. So the same process, put the glitter clear dazzles around the edge and 1 butterfly and love you. So that just, I thought it was fun. It was fun to do a card that was very white, and that was different, but it was also fun to use the square and the circle. So that worked nicely. Okay, got another one. And this is the one that I showed you in the beginning. So I'm going to have to give you directions for it. And this is using the flowers. So we've done birds and teacups, and now we're into the flowers. The flowers also have butterflies. And this is a gatefold card, but it's a gatefold card with a difference. So let me show you. I did show you in the beginning. So gatefold, meaning that the 2 gates come to the center, do not overlap, but come to the center. And then this has a pop-up. So this is also using the square and the circle. That's kind of fun. And I'll tell you, at this price, it's easy to do. Okay, so let me show you how this is going to work. You are going to need a card, is what I used. Again, our 5 by 6.5 inch cards. If you want to cut this out of white cardstock, you can. It's going to be 10 by 6.5. Same thing. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to do some measuring and going to do some scoring. So if you want to, whatever you use to score, whether it's the adorable scoreboard or whatever. So we're going to measure from the left, going in 2.5 inches, 4.5, 5.5, 7.5. The outside two become the gatefold. So you're obviously going to do those in a valley fold. The middle two are going to be that pop-up. So they're going to be mountain folds. Okay, so just like that. Now, if you wanted to do this technique on just a gatefold card, you sure could. You just wouldn't have that fun pop-up. So you can see that I covered it with the paper from the book. And I think you can see the pattern that I chose right there, just a little dot, very soft color. Went back into the solids and did kind of a dusty blue, and did the scallop circle cutting dies around it. Now, before I positioned that, I needed to use my thin line dazzles, and this is out of the primary set. So in the primary set, you're going to get brown, black, blue, yellow, green, and red. And I am surprised how often this blue works with other papers. So that's really nice. In fact, this is the sheet I used. So I kind of left it to show you. So I just used the same design, just about 1/8 of an inch from each of the edges. So right there and right there. Okay. And so that worked quite nicely. When you glue this down, obviously you just glue the left side to the left gate. That works nicely. You can tell I did it up a little bit. The Keeping You comes from our inside and outside dazzles primary colors. And again, it's the same blue. And I have Keeping You in on the front. Heart is going to be inside the card, but I also took another little piece of that border dazzle, the thin line, and put it underneath the Keeping You in just why not use it? Okay, I'm sure you agree. Now, the butterflies come from our jewel butterflies. These are die cut, no cutting necessary. And what I generally do with them is to fold them on each side of the body. That way I can attach the body, and I always use extra sticky tape because this is an acetate, so it's slick. So you're going to need something really sturdy to hold them in place. So I did that with 2 of the blue ones because the blue I just thought was working so nicely. Now, on this paper, on the other side of it, this is what you have. You have this really faint pink and blue flowers, all kind of ghosted back. So what I did was to use the sheet, and if you measure correctly, you can get it out of 1 sheet. I did not measure correctly, and I had to use 2 sheets, so there you go. So you're going to go, as you can see, I have left a white border, and I did that intentionally, obviously. So you're going to do, the measurements are in the instructions, they're right down below. So these 2 are the same size, these 2 are the same size, glue them in place. And then I elected to go back to the other side of the paper, that dot, and that's the dot I used on the front, and do that in the center. I just, well, as I said, if you use 1 sheet, you can get all 4 strips, and you still need to do something with that one. But again, you get multiple copies of all of those papers. Now, use the circle butterflies and flowers. So of course I'm going to use the square. And voila! The square dazzles also fit. Hooray, hooray. I did do, I hope you like that, hooray, hooray. I did the same blue that I used on the front. I did first a small one and then did the scallop out of the pink. So that worked very nicely. And I put a pink butterfly there. Now the heart is down here, and I recognize that when you open this up, you are going to be really focused on that center. But the heart is right there, and I elected to put one of the hearts right next to it. And I thought it did a nice job of showing up against the pink flowers, so I didn't need to mat it. You know, you certainly could if you wanted to. So that worked very nicely. Now you'll notice on all of these, there is no inking. Now that's a difference for me. But that was kind of fun to do. And even though there's white on the art, I elected not to do that except for the one that is very white. Okay, we're going to go to our last card, and aha, inking does come in here. Now for this, I am using one of the papers, as you can see, and I'm not sure if I still have one in the collection, but let me look, because I did go through a lot of, oh, there's also, okay, here's the sheet. So there it is. I just thought that was so pretty. So what I do is when I first get, if there's papers involved, I really go through them and see which ones I like best. And I thought that was lovely. There's also a sheet of cutouts that you can do. I didn't use them, but you certainly can. Butterflies there. Okay, so in this case, I did trim it down. Again, 5 by 6.5 inch card, fold is at the top. In this case, I did trim it down, and it's probably 4.5 by 6, I would imagine. And I did do the inking, so you're going to put it on your craft mat. I used blush, which is a very soft pink, and of course my blending tool, and just went right around the edge. So did that first. I didn't put any ink on the paper, so I simply glued that down. Now this bird, which is the one that I really wanted to use in the beginning, so I finally get to use it here. I elected to do some inking on that, and this is with Velvet Fawn. Now in this case, what I did is I held the die cut up, I took the Velvet Fawn, and let's see, let me do it to this Post-it note. And I actually went into it like this. Okay, now this paper is thicker than a Post-it note, but I went like that all the way around it because I wanted the Velvet Fawn to get more on top of it. You can do it with the blending brush too, but you can see how nice, what a nice frame that gives it. This is foam taped. You can almost see it curving a little bit. Now the Thinking of You and with Sympathy, that is from our Tiny Words and Phrases, and this is a package of different colors. So you can get it in the package. I think you can also get just the single one in black. Back to the light pink ribbons. So very simple on the front of the card. On the inside, okay, there are those butterflies that I used, or that I showed you. That paper. Now this one is edged with blue, and this is Prism blue, or Prussian blue. It's a darker blue, and that was done with the blending brush. And then I cut the same size, 4.5 by 6. And then this is the circle one, same thing, edging with the Velvet Fawn. So blush, Velvet Fawn, and Prussian blue were used with all of these. And Blessings is the other dazzle that I put just a little bit. So the words are very understated here, and I thought that was appropriate for a Sympathy card. Okay, and when you go to ink this on the inside, you want to turn your card like this, and that way go ahead and ink it. Then you won't get it in other areas of your card. Okay, so works very nicely. So I'm pretty excited by these. This is the first time that we've had Find It Trading papers. Now they are papers, they are not cardstock, but we're putting them on a card, so that works. But I think the real fun are these die cuts. So as I said, squares and circles teacups, squares and circles birds, and squares and circles flowers and butterflies. What a deal. So they are in stock, and we do have a money saver, of course, over on the right hand side of your screen, as always, all of the items. And if you are watching us on YouTube, we hope that you will like us. Tell me what you think. Do you like, as I said, I've been doing with my webisodes, telling you why I put together what I put together. And I'm thinking of giving this a title. I'm kind of thinking of Paulette's Paper Play. So tell me what you think about that. Do you like this? You've been most kind with your comments, but I still want to hear them. Head on over to paperwishes.com. Take advantage of the Money Saver. If you want the directions, they're down below. Just simply click on any of the cards. You will see them. You can print them off. I do want to tell you that I don't know if we can get more of these. So what we have is what we have. And I hope that you like it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting me do paper play with you. And thank you most of all for being the very best part of Paper Wishes. We'll see you next time.